Well, many of you know him as Triple H, the 14-time world champion. Today he goes by Paul Levesque, now the Executive Vice President overseeing global talent strategy and development at WWE. Paul, thanks for the time. We'll get to entertainment in a moment, but it felt like yesterday the sports world stopped in its tracks when we heard about the Tiger Woods crash, saw the images of the wreck.
Yeah.
Tiger transcends sport. And it doesn't matter, if you don't know the difference between a birdie and a bogey, everybody knows who Tiger Woods is. In your business, many have done the same. Hogan, Andre, The Rock, Stone Cold. I mean, if you want to go back a couple of generations, even Bruno. What Tiger has done for golf, who has done it for pro wrestling and the sports entertainment industry in your mind?
I think all those names you just mentioned. I think even from a behind the scenes standpoint, there are certain things, if you're talking about our industry, if you just say Vince, that is probably the single most influential person by far in the business. It's in many ways, Ric Flair and I were just talking about this a short period of time ago. If he hadn't changed the business in the 80s, I don't know that it would still be here, in some manner, because he foresaw the future that nobody else saw with cable and everything else, and was wise enough to take it and expand upon it and make it global. I don't know that it would still be there, and if it would be very tiny and still what it was. And today it's the global entertainment, juggernaut that it is. But from a purely character or performer standpoint, all the names you just mentioned, from generations to Bruno Sammartino, there wasn't a bigger probably household name in that era than Bruno. To Hulk Hogan, arguably in that generation and maybe beyond, one of the most recognizable people on the entire planet. To The Undertaker, to Austin, to The Rock, all those people have transcended. It doesn't matter if you are a fan. It doesn't matter if you've ever watched. If you say those names, you know who you're talking about. Andre the Giant. Those are all names that just transcend what you do. So when you talk about a Tiger Woods, you talk about Michael Jordan or certain people like that, they transcend what they do and just become a household name and an icon, even if you've never seen them do it.
Yeah, it's funny because at the Masters, they talk about the roars being unique from any other tournament. And Tiger was able to elicit those roars. In your career as a performer, forget the business side for a minute, is there a night or two that stands out to you of hearing a pop that a performer has been able to create that may stand out more than any other?
Sure. For me, for my own career personally, I could never put behind me the moment when I returned from my injury at Madison Square Garden. But that's, that there's so much emotion connected to that of me returning and everything. It would be hard for me to not feel that way about it. If I was to say just in ring, there's certain moments where things happen and kind of they're going to happen. When I wrestled Undertaker in Hell in the Cell, and we knew we were getting to the place where we were going into the DX super kick pedigree, and people just knew that was the end of the streak. The moment when that took place to me was deafening. But aside from all of that, there was a moment that always stands out, and I've said this numerous times in interviews, when it was shortly after he won the WWE Championship for the first time with Stone Cold Steve Austin, when we were in Chicago at what at the time was the Rosemont Horizon. And we were wrestling each other, and it was so, the reaction was so big. I remember us talking about it after it was over. We were laying in the ring next to each other, maybe a foot away from each other, trying to scream at each other to communicate, because it was so deafeningly loud in there that we could not hear each other. And Steve can't hear anyway. But it was unbelievable, and I'll just never forget that moment. I'd never heard anything like it, and it was one of the first times that we had protected China a lot, and Steve stunned her that night for the first time, and just everything clicked that night, and it will stand out to me forever as one of the loudest reactions I've ever heard. And it was just a live event. It was sold out. We're the Rosemont Horizon, which is one of my favorite arenas, and it was deafening.
That's so interesting you make that point, because over the last year, as sports has returned in whatever way this has been, bubbles, non-bubbles, whatever, the absence of fans has been so pronounced. I mean, in football, we're hearing everything that's going on the field, pre-snap, and even during games. And even, we had Drew McIntyre on a few months ago. He's like, here I am, the pinnacle of my career, winning the world title, and I lift the belt up and it's silence.
Yeah.
You'll have some fans back for WrestleMania. It's coming up April 10th and 11th in Tampa. And I really like the comment that you made. You said our heartbeat is in the stands. What will it mean for the overall industry to have people back in venues for the WWE?
So WWE, unlike any other sport, and when you watch a sport, yes, that crowd absolutely brings the excitement and the energy and all those things, and having that roar of the crowd. But WWE, we go after that. So unlike any other sport, if you're playing in the Super Bowl, in some manner, you're trying to tune all that out so you can focus on your job, your task at hand. If you're in a prize fight, whether mixed martial arts or boxing, whatever that is, it's you want tunnel vision to your opponent. You don't want to get emotional. It's trying to tune all that out. It's why fans sit on the other side of the basket and the NBA and wave things and scream and put up giant head placards, because they want to distract. Our business is all about our fans. Every aspect of it. We do everything we do. Every bump, every drop of sweat is for them, and trying to garner a reaction from them. When they go away, it's funny. We did a spot a few years ago, because it was unthinkable at the time, where it was a thank you message to our fans, and it had Daniel Bryan walking out onto a stage doing the yes chant, and there was nobody in the stands, and it was like, there is no WWE without you, thank you. To fast forward to now, it's hard to envision. It's hard to envision that we could get to a place where, if you told me for NXT in the Capitol Wrestling Center, we could have a couple hundred fans, I'm like giddy about it,
right. Whereas you'd be so disappointed, so long ago. What do you mean only a couple hundred fans? How many people are getting fired now?
I would have been devastated. Yeah. There's no replacing it. We've done an amazing job. The production team of WWE has gone above and beyond. They've done things that, frankly, no other sport has done. You saw in the beginning of this, or in partway through the pandemic, the NBA putting some virtual fans up, and it was a smattering of 50 people or so on video boards and all that. We have the Thunderdome with thousands of fans on the video boards, and their reaction live, you can hear it live. We add to it, but it's there. It's something, and you're getting reaction of people. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. In the Capitol Center for NXT, we have fans, a few fans that we test and allow to come in on a weekly basis, but it's very small, and we keep them sectioned off in pods, and so it's done very safe. But if we can get back to a place at WrestleMania where, much like the Super Bowl did, where you can put 20, 30,000 fans into a stadium again, it's a game changer for us. And for the talent, we feed off that adrenaline and that energy and that emotion. It's everything that we do. So to get that back will be the most magical thing I can think of.
That's Triple H, the 14-time world champion. Today he goes by Paul Levesque, an executive vice president over at WWE. That's a big title, Paul. If business cards are still a thing, I think founder and executive producer of NXT would be engraved on them too. Look, having an in-house developmental system for performers on the way up, that's critical. But I wanted to come at you with this from this angle. In team sports, the presence of a vet in the locker room is so critical. Teaching the young bucks what it takes to be a pro, how to conduct yourself, how to eat, how to train, how to treat people.
Yes.
How much of that is involved in the NXT program, and how critical is it?
It's massive. So one, to have the system that we have, but to have veteran performers like Sarah Amato, who wrestled for years and has the respect of so many people in our locker rooms, to Matt Bloom, to then people like Road Dogg, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker comes in quite a bit and speaks and works with talent. You know, having people come in along the way to pass on that knowledge, the people that you watched and you respect, to pass on that knowledge, to tell you not only the things to do, but sometimes just as importantly, the things not to do. You know, to have that. But also, one of the things that I love about the Performance Center and the you know, sort of the culture that it has created is that, especially in WWE, there is no sort of I to it. It's very much a team, and you can look at that and go, well, yeah, but everybody's an individual and everybody has their own place. They do, but you cannot dance without the person across the ring from you.
Right.
It's imperative to what we do. So you build this team sort of because they're there. They see each other's day-to-days, their trials, their tribulations, the things that they go through to get where they are. They realize everybody has the story and the struggle that you do. And to go through all of that together, they share in each other's successes. And I say it there all the time. We succeed as a group, we fail as a group, right? So if stuff doesn't work, we all failed because we let it happen. If we succeed, we all succeeded because we all made it happen together as one. And I think that carries through, so that as you get to Raw and SmackDown, much so different than generations that came before, where you saw guys leery of the new guy coming in, and I don't want this guy to succeed too much, or I don't want this, or I don't want that, or there was a conflict of ideas or a conflict of just thought process, and mostly because of fear of the unknown, and you don't know this person, and I don't trust them, and all this thing.
And
you know
these
people,
their own, right? Everybody wants to eat themselves.
Yeah, look, there's a saying in our business: everybody wants to see you do good, they just don't want you to see you do too good.
Right.
You know, but I think now, while everybody wants to do well and they want to be in that position, they also understand that it's going to ebb and flow, and they're happy for each other's success, and they're much more open to helping to get you to that place of success. So when a new talent comes up, when Rhea Ripley moves to Raw, you know, there will be women in that locker room and men in that locker room that will say, hey, come on, let me show you the ropes of how this works here. And this is a different environment, but let me teach you this, and let me take you in and get you to here. And hey, I wouldn't do that, I would do this. And, you know, giving you that advice that you then filter through and help get you through your career. I think first time in generations, we've had that sort of team kind of mentality in the locker room. While everybody wants their own success, they're also there for the success of the overall brand and each other. And to me, that's one of my favorite things. The success of the Performance Center has been to a degree that we have a lot of team sports that then, as they're looking to branch out their futures and maybe build a new training center or a new development center, you know, they'll come and tour the Performance Center. They'll send a team in and spend a couple of days. You know, we've had everybody from the Celtics do that to, you know, professional lacrosse, to everybody in between. And even things that you would never think of, like Formula One, you know, send teams in to come through our Performance Center and study our culture and how we make stars. You know, that culture, one of the things we've done is sort of nail the culture within the system. And I think that's an important piece of the next generation of this, is all of us succeeding and failing together.
Well, it was announced this week that starting tonight, February 24th, you can now watch NXT broadcasts live every Wednesday on Sportsnet 360 and Sportsnet Now. Triple H, Paul Levesque, the founder, executive producer of NXT. Good to visit with you. Appreciate the time, Paul.
Thank you very much.